All right, ready to work on my forehand. What? You can forehand these things? Who knew? Spin it. All right, DMD family, welcome back to another Discs MD video and start of a new series. Yeah, we're building my forehand. If you watch my channel for any time at all, you realize that my forehand is absolute trash and it needs to get a whole lot better. So I'm starting my series of lessons with my coach on building my forehand. So this is not going to be an overly complicated or long video. Just wanted to go over some of the things that we went over in my first lesson with my forehand. 3 things in particular that I need to work on. Yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing is really basic and easy. It's my grip. And Josh teaches the same grip basically as Paul Ulibarri does. It's to get it way back into the hand, right? Josh teaches it, make the V with your hand, stick the disc in it, and then I stack my fingers against the rim. So middle finger there against the rim, and then I stack my first finger in behind it. And then I sort of pinch my thumb between my index finger, the disc between my thumb and my index finger, and then these 2 fingers rest right under that first knuckle on the rim. So this is what my grip looks like. Again, kind of standard stacked grip, and again, both Paul in the Power Disc Golf Academy and Josh teach basically the same one. So first thing was the grip. On to thing number 2. All right, so the second thing is my arm slot. So I took a video of my current forehand and sent it to Josh, and I'll insert that right here. And the first thing that he told me is I was rounding. Seriously? You can round on a forehand? But I was. And basically, it's when you put your body between your elbow and your target. So I had a typical baseball throw where I turn my shoulders and set my arm back here. So you can't see my elbow at all right now. So if your target cannot see your elbow, you basically have to come around your body to throw your disc, which is in essence the same thing as rounding in a backhand. So if you pull your arm all the way back and your elbow behind your body, you are rounding just like me. So he had to teach me my arm slot. So a basic standstill stance, and we want to keep the elbow outside of the body so your elbow can always see your target, right? That's the first thing. The first thing about the arm slot is the elbow always has to be able to see the target, so keep it out and away from the body. The second thing with the arm slot is angle control, right? Your arm angle, your disc angle is relative to your arm angle at release. So if my arm slot, like I'm a baseball player, so my natural arm slot is up here. So my natural inclination is to throw on anhyzer. But your angle of disc, anhyzer to hyzer, is relative to your arm slot. So this is the way I need to control my disc angle, is by where I set up in my arm slot. A little caveat to that is once you get down on throwing it hyzer, you're going to have to bend over at the waist a little bit to get there, right? Throwing it anhyzer is body up. Throwing it hyzer is going to be body down a little bit. So there is a little body control in it, but the majority of it is controlled by the angle of your arm in your arm slot. And then the final thing about my forehand was the wrist snap. Cocking my hand back before I come through, instead of getting through and trying to cock my wrist at the end and flick. And you'll notice if you go back and watch my rounds, I tend to do one of these numbers and short arm it. And that's me trying to come forward as I'm cocking my wrist and snapping like that. I have no follow through and it looks jerky and it ends up terrible. As I'm coming through, he wants me to cock my wrist before I start coming through. Even if it's when I come back, I throw my wrist back here and then I'm ready, bring my elbow through and snap at the very end. And the snap is a very important part of, the wrist snap is a very important part of your forehand, very important part of my forehand. And it's not done like this, right? Very limited range of motion if we do it this way. It's done like this. Much bigger range of motion, right? We want to use our whole wrist movement, front to back wrist movement, and not side to side movement, okay? So when I'm coming through my disc, and I have my wrist back, my elbow leads, and then my wrist comes through, and at the very end, it's this motion, and then follow through. So it looks something like this. Wrist snap at the very end. So let's go over to the rec, and let's throw some not into the net. And I would advise everyone to do this. I throw into the net far too often. We really need to get out into a field to see how our discs respond flight-wise to what we're doing in our backhand and our forehand. So let's go over to the rec, and we'll throw a couple and see how we do. All right, here we are out at the rec, and Josh has me doing all standstill stuff, no footwork yet. It's all just getting the arm slot right, getting the grip right, and getting the wrist snap right. So everything is just standstill, so I can focus on those things specifically. Let's do his clock routine first. Let's do from 12 to 4. So the 12 o'clock one is all about getting the disc on the ground with the wrist snap and getting a roller about 50 feet in front of you. So let's see if we can do that. Remember, arm out, away from the body, snap the wrist. Well, that worked. 1 o'clock should be a roller as well, but shouldn't cut out of it as soon as that 12 o'clock one did. Yeah, not too bad. Just a quick caveat here, the finger stacking can be done in multiple ways, and Josh says that in his video. Paul talks about it as well. You can do the standard stack like I do, or you can do the power. I don't know why they call it a power, but it's just the name they give it, where you tuck your index finger underneath. Or you can do the split grip, but I like to put them together and stack them. So let's try 2 o'clock. Still a roller. Maybe that was more 130. 3 o'clock. Not great. Not awful. But just in case you're wondering, I'm throwing my bayonet, which is a pretty stable to overstable fairway drive, distance driver from Lone Star. So, but this is why I want to come out to the field, because doing this in the wide open, to me, feels a lot different than doing it into the net. The mindset's just completely different. So I need to come out here to see how it reacts in the open. So let's do 4 o'clock and then we'll move on. Not too bad. We'll go get it, and I'll explain what I'm going to do next. All right, so now I'm going to go through and do overstable and slightly understable versions of putters, fairways, and distance. I didn't bring any mids with me. That's all right. So we have the penny, the V1 penny. Yeah, V1 penny, which is pretty understable putter from Lone Star. Then we have the V2 Blue Bonnet Emerson Keith stamp. This thing's sick. I love it. So overstable putter. Then we have a Frio, which is a under-ish stable fairway driver, 7-speed. And then we have the Brazos, which is an overstable 7-speed fairway driver. And then we have the Growler, which is pretty understable distance driver. And then we have the Bayonet, which is a pretty stable to overstable distance driver. So I'm going to put these on the angle they need to be to get the most distance out of them. Again, I'm just starting. This is like one of the first couple practices that I had because of my daughter's wedding. I haven't been able to practice a lot. So this is kind of raw, and I'm not going to cut anything. You're going to see my throws as they happen. I'll cut in between them just for sake of time, but I won't do any more throws than what you're seeing in this video. So you'll see them. They're all first take. First, the Benny. Whoa, and that one turned over. That's pretty understable. It's tough to do, forehand and understable putter. Stable putter, Blue Bonnet. Make sure my elbow's out from away from my body, and I'm cocking my wrist. That wasn't too bad. I mean, it turned over a little bit. So let's go to the understable fairway driver. This is the Frio in Charlie plastic. Slipped right out of my hand. Got to snap that wrist. It's terrible. All right, let's try the overstable Brazos. Snap the wrist. Snap the wrist. Yeah, not too bad. Now, understable growler. I'm going to have to put this on a lot of hyzer. Really low, but flipped up the flat kind of nice. If I got that higher, that would have been good. And last but not least, the bayonet. Put this on a little bit of hyzer. And that's the best one. I like the way this feels, and I like where this is going. So those are the 3 things I'm working on right now: grip, arm slot, and snapping at the end. I hope this video helped you out. If you don't have a forehand like I don't have a forehand, hopefully this will set you in the right direction. Go ahead and like and subscribe and comment below. I love the interaction with you guys. Let's keep this going and build this channel. Until next time, enjoy the journey. Here's your verse of the day.